inheritance in India was in two modes. This is most important to understand and appreciate the effect of the Amendment 99/2005. So, the two modes of inheritance prevalent in India was one by way of survivorship, another by way of succession. So if you understand these two concepts, then you will be able to understand what is the impact and effect of the amended provision of the year 2005. So the prior to 9/9/2005, as I pointed out, the inheritance of the property was by way of two modes. One is by survivorship and another is by succession. The distinction of survivorship and succession is, in case of survivorship, by birth, son gets a share, used to get a share in the property by birth, not on account of death of the last male holder of the property. I think I am making myself clear. Suppose I am holding a co-personal property. Suppose if I beget a child, son, then son by birth will get a share in the property. So this is what is called such a inheritance by way of survivorship. So this is right by way of birth. Now this by way of survivorship, that is right of inheritance by birth, used to be three lineal descendants, male descendants, son, grandson and great grandson. So by birth, I am putting this concept as proportionally as a circle. So moment a son is born, so he comes within the circle of proportionality. Like that, son is born, he used to become a member of a proportionality and grandson. Like this, they will be in the circle. So the son, grandson and great grandson alone used to have a share in the property, in a proportional property, in proportional property. The daughters and female heirs are outside the circle of proportional. So by way of succession is the inheritance, the inheritance of property will be only on the opening of the succession on account of death of last male holder. So the property will devolve in case of inheritance by way of succession only on the death of the last male holder of the property. So now these two modes of successions were prevalent under two schools. Again, this is most important. You see, by way of succession, that is the opening of succession on account of death of last male holder. This is under Dayabhagala. And the succession by survivorship is unknown to Dayabhagala. It is only in case of Mithakshara school of law. So Dayabhagala mostly is prevalent in West Bengal. In rest of the country, the inheritance is followed as per the Mithakshara school of law. Now you will find a discrimination, gender discrimination in cases of inheritance by survivorship, in the sense that daughters or female heirs were not getting the rights. Only sons were getting the share in the property, proportional property. This used to be maintained a close, the succession is a closed way, closed circuit way. Then first attempt was made to provide a share to the female heir by virtue of the Hindu Women's Right to Property Act 1937. This has come into force with effect from 14/4/1937. Now, coming to the women's rights we can broadly classify into two. One is personal right, another is property rights. The personal rights are maintenance rights. They were prevalent during the Shastri period also. So widow used to have a right to claim maintenance against husband, against father-in-law, against son. So these maintenance rights are prevalent even prior to this 1937 amendment. But property rights were conferred, right to be conferred for the first time under the Hindu Women's Right to Property Act 1937. This is dated 14/4/1937. What was done in this act is that widow was given a right in the property of the husband. And this right is not by way of survivorship, but not by way of succession. Supreme Court says that this right is introduced by way of a statutory provision. So let us not confuse by virtue of this Hindu Women's Right to Property Act, because one provision says that the widow is entitled to claim share or entitled to seek for partition also. Most important is she is entitled to partition also. Suppose a male Hindu dies after 14/4/1937. One small correction here is, this act has come into force with effect from 14/4/1931, but it was extended to the Andhra AP a later point of time. I have not, at present I don't have date. I will give the date. So for the first time an attempt was made to provide a share to the widow by virtue of this Hindu Women's Right to Property Act. Now, under this act, woman is entitled to a share as a son. This is most important. There are two very critical distinctions is made. Insofar as the law governing, insofar as Dayabhaga law is concerned, that is wherever the inheritance is by way of succession. This most important distinction is made, I found, is wherever the inheritance is by way of succession. The widow was given right as of a son. But wherever the succession is by way of inheritance, the widow was given right as a right of the interest of the deceased husband. I think most important distinction. Why this was made in Hindu Women's Right to Property Act is, insofar as Mitakshara law is concerned, the act says that widow will get interest as of her husband, and insofar as Dayabhaga law succession is concerned, it says as of son. Because under Mitakshara law, already son has got a right by birth. So therefore, the husband used to have the undivided share in the property. So therefore, the section 3, subsection 2 of section 3 says that in case of inheritance by succession, that is under Mitakshara law, the widow will get right in the interest as of her husband in the property. Insofar as succession by way of the inheritance by way of succession is concerned, they say that will get as of son. And by declaring a right to a widow under this act, this 1937 Act also says that this is only a limited right, limited interest, in the sense that she will be entitled to enjoy the usufructs of the property, and she will also be entitled to sell her right to enjoy the usufructs, not title in the property. This is most important. The widow is entitled to seek for partition. Widow is entitled to sell her interest, that is interest of enjoying the usufructs. But her interest is only limited to the extent that she will not be entitled to transfer her share to surviving heirs. Then what happens? After the demise of Hindu, again it will be the succession used to be like the prevalent law as on 14/4/1937. Then next Act, Hindu Succession Act 1956, it came into effect from 17/6/1956. Now this Act recognized the inheritance of property by two modes. Dayabhagala and as well as Mudakshara, not specifically mentioned. Two modes. Two modes in the sense that inheritance by way of survivorship and inheritance by way of succession. The inheritance by way of survivorship is brought under section 6 of the Act. Inheritance by way of succession is brought under section 8 of the Act. So the prevalent, the inheritance laws was brought under the Hindu Succession Act under two different sections. Now coming to section 6 of the Act, there are two provisions, two situations. First situation is that male Hindu dying without leaving any female heir. Then the succession is by survivorship. You see, the most important distinction between succession, the inheritance by survivorship and inheritance by succession is again two ways. In case of, as I pointed out, that in case of survivorship gets right by birth, and in case of this by on account of death. So, under section 6(1) of the Act, the pure, unpolluted, the compulsory concept was brought in the sense that if no female heir was left by a male Hindu dying intestate, the succession will be by survivorship, in the sense that the property will devolve upon son, grandson and great grandson. They will be taking the property in undefined share. This is most important. So, what is the difference between the undefined share, proportionary and co-ownership? This again important aspect. This proportionary and co-owner. There will not be, on the face of it, one may not be in a position to make a distinction. In case of proportionary, the distinction, in case of proportionary, the heirs will be taking undefined share. In case of co-owners, I will come to that subsection soon. In case of co-owners, they will take a defined share. I will give an example how it operates. Suppose if the proportionate property is held by the Hindu joint family without any female heir, then in case of partition, it is not necessary that they should equally distribute the property. It is not necessary. Father may take entire property and so he may not deny it. It is all mutual understanding because shares are not defined. But in case of co-ownership, suppose if 4 members purchase the property under a sale deed, they have a defined share, each one has 1/4 share. In case of division, they have to necessarily divide the property in the ratio of 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. Suppose if any of the co-purchaser wanted to give up his share, he should necessarily do it by way of a registered instrument because he is conveying the property. So in case of co-partiality, in the event of partition, there is no conveyance of the property. In case of concept of co-ownership held by more than one owner, so the concept is that there is a conveyance of the property. So therefore, under section 6(1), the existing co-partiality concept was maintained when a male Hindu dies without leaving any female heir. But in case where male Hindu dies leaving a female heir, then for the first time, the right is given to female heir in the interest of the last male holder who died. I think I am making myself clear. I will give an